Hi and welcome to Digital Tech Reviews and Tips, guys. My name is Gabe, and today in this video, as I'm filming it right now on the Mini 3 Pro, it has officially been 365 days since DJI launched this drone on May 10th, 2022. So with that in mind, I decided it was about time that I sit down, or I guess stand up and walk slowly forward in this case, and give you my thoughts in a detailed, in-depth, comprehensive review about this drone, giving you number one, my thoughts over the past year of flying it, experiences flying in different weather conditions, different altitudes, and how it fared. Number two, what has changed in the past year, software updates, new features added, new features taken away, and etc. And number three, how does it fare against the other drones that DJI has released in the past year? The Mavic 3 Classic, the Mavic 3 Pro, the Mini 3, the Mini 2 SE, and etc. I'll be giving you a comparison of each of those drones, features, the specs, side-by-side image quality, and stuff like that. So with that in mind, let's just get to this video. Anything I mention will be in links down below. Subscribe, like, comment, you know what to do, but yeah, let's just get started. All right, so now in the main part of the video, talking about the Mini 3 Pro here. Right off the bat, what has changed in the past year with this drone? If you've been watching like the older reviews, the ones in like the month or like 2 months after this drone was released, there's been 7 software updates over the past year, where DJI has rolled out, a number of like smaller features, bug fixes, optimization, stuff like that. Most notably, the big features are 10-bit cine mode, which allows for better color, like editing in post and better dynamic range and stuff like that. You have the new addition of hyperlapse and active track and focus track on vertical modes. That was pretty quick off the bat, should have had that since the beginning. You had the addition of USB mode, which allows the drone to update software and for you to transfer stuff on and off the drone wirelessly or via a USB and not overheat because it doesn't have a fan on board. It uses the propeller, so when it wasn't flying, it would very easily overheat, so DJI fixed that. And then finally, the last big kind of feature that DJI added was just 3 to 4 months ago, which is kind of rare that you get an update that big, that far into a drone's lifespan, but that was the reintroduction or the introduction of control expo tuning or tripod mode. So yeah, if you don't know, Philip Bloom has been on DJI's case for like over 2 years now since the introduction of the Mavic 3 didn't have that, and they brought it back. So shout out to Philip. We did it, we got it back, and now you can get some really smooth and slow like shots low to the ground, or you can really just fine tune the control of the drone to your exact preference so you can get the best shots that you want as quickly as possible. So that's really the software updates that we've seen in the past year. Now DJI has also released some like small software updates for compatibility to make this drone work with accessories and other accessories that they have. Of course, you have the wide angle lens and the 360 propeller guards, but they also made this work with their new FPV gear. So if you have the Motion Controller 2, Goggles 2 or Goggles Integra, this drone will work with them, and that's awesome. Like, you can now use some pretty expensive accessories with another drone that you might have or might be looking at. And then they also actually expanded the capabilities of their DJI RC Pro controller. So yeah, you have 4 controllers potentially you could use with this drone now, and 2 different sets of goggles. And yeah, go wild, send all your money to DJI and just have everything. So that's really the update for the past year. Now, what have I learned in the past year with flying this drone? Well, like I said, I've been flying this drone for a year. Yeah, that's kind of the whole premise of this video. Over 200 flights. And so I went up into the cloud and like pulled down all my flight logs with the help of AirData, this really cool website that allows you to like dive deep into all your data that you get from your DJI flight logs. So I downloaded the spreadsheets and went through and have been able to answer a lot of questions that I've had myself and that people ask me. So like when I'm out flying, I don't know about you if you're a drone flyer, but like a lot of times people will come up and be like, how long does it stay in the air for? Like, what's the flight time? And previously, I'd always be like, about like, DJI says like 34 minutes and 47 minutes for this drone. But that's not actually the case. I mean, we've kind of always known that DJI inflates their flight times. Like, that's basically the same as like a car manufacturer inflating their miles per gallon. But it's a lot more inflated than maybe I even thought. I traditionally would think like 15-20%. As you can see here, standard battery and extended battery, 23 minutes and 34 seconds and 34 minutes and 57 seconds for the max flight times. Now, that's the max flight times, and those are about 25% less here for the extended battery and 30% less for the standard battery than what DJI tells you. And now, as you can see, here's the average times, which are obviously less than those max times, and those are even a bigger difference from what DJI advertises as the flight times, which, yeah, I mean, you could look at it bad, but I mean, DJI has always been inflating their flight time. So really, if you're coming from an older DJI drone like Phantom and you're like, ah, well, they said 25 minutes. Well, hold on, you're probably only getting 15. So this drone is still going to be a massive upgrade for you. And really, one of the best things about this drone is the battery life. Like, the ability to get 30 minutes of flight time is insane. I've been flying for 10 years, and when I started out, it was 8 minutes. So literally, we've over tripled, almost quadrupled our flight times in the past 10 years. And now you can really get some awesome shots, like hyperlapses. You can do 30 minutes and really see the landscape and the lighting change. Or just when you're shooting, you just have more time to like, all right, now I can just fly around and have some fun. Okay, now we're good. And I still have 30% battery left, like no worries. So yeah, battery time is incredible. Even though DJI inflates and it's not quite as good as DJI says, still great. The other thing that people always ask, of course, when you're out flying is like, how long is the range? Like, how far can you fly? Because I want to go spy on my friend Tom across town. And DJI, again, no surprise here, inflates their numbers. They say 8 kilometers for CE, which is like Europe, Russia, Japan, China regulations areas, and then FCC areas like North America, you're going to get 12 kilometers, they say. As you can see, here's the actual like max distances I achieved. Now granted, I'm not like a crazy person out there trying to like push it to the limit and just see how far, you know, I can go, like, I think I can do it, like Tom Cruise there in Top Gun or something. So not anything insane, and you can probably find those people online that have probably gone farther, but just kind of interesting that it's a lot less than what DJI says, but still falls like within the ratio of what they advertise. Like, it's about, you know, 33% less from the FCC to the CE range. So just interesting. And just in like practical world use, I will say that the Mavic 3 definitely has a better range than the Mini 3 Pro. So that is one thing potentially if like you're having a lot of range issues where you're flying. I find the Mavic 3 does connect a little better and a little further without having like dropping signal and stuff like that. But really, the Mini 3 Pro, for its size, which cannot be overstated, is really incredible with the range. Like you don't need to fly much further than 1,500 feet out, and you really shouldn't be. And this drone can easily do that in no matter what area you're flying, like even in cities with a ton of interference. This drone will be fine. So yeah, that's the range. Now just moving on to other stuff, you know, how does this drone perform in the air? The flight characteristics are really great. Top speed, DJI says 35.7 miles an hour, and I've easily hit that. Actually, I've hit, I think, 37.7. That was probably like flying with the wind one time, where I was just like absolutely crushing it. But yeah, it's plenty fast, and it can handle the wind really well. I mean, like, look at this clip right here. You see the tumbleweed go through in the background, and this drone is just, you know, yeah, it's fighting the wind for sure, but it didn't, you know, fall out of the sky, which that's the main thing that you worry about with the drone. Like, it's just gonna get blown away, and I'm gonna have to, you know, go pick it up wherever I dumped it in Kansas or something like that. So yeah, really great in the wind. And also altitude wise, like, you can take this drone up above what DJI says a little bit. They say 9,000 feet and 12,000 feet, depending on which battery. Obviously like higher for the standard battery because it's lighter. And I was actually able to get it up to about like 13,000 feet almost, not that high from the ground, but I was taking off in the mountains of Colorado where they are about 13,000 feet. And it flew definitely a little slower, and the flight distances, like, you'd go to stop and it'd take longer because the air's thinner, but it flew just fine and didn't overheat and didn't have any issues. So good, you know, if you're living in higher altitudes, you'll be fine. Finally, image quality, because that's the big thing with drones. Other than the drone itself, how does this little tiny camera on the front perform? And, you know, first off, one of the best things about this drone is the vertical mode. Other drones don't have it, and you have to crop in and you lose all those pixels and you lose the field of view. This drone just says, no, we're gonna flip it on its side and you get the same field of view, same amount of pixels, same camera, same everything. Really great design. Hopefully DJI will bring this to their other drones like the Air 3 in the future. We'll have to see that, of course. But yeah, the thing that this drone really brings, and I think is my number one like pro for this drone if I had to rank them, is the size of it. Because, like, look at this comparison here. You have the two drones, Mini 3 Pro, Mavic 3, and absolutely, like, you could fit two Mini 3 Pros in the same size as the Mavic 3's footprint, and probably it'd be like, I think, 3 or 4 of them to be the same weight as the Mavic 3. So I see a lot of people comparing these two and trying to decide between the Mavic 3 and the Mini 3. Really, if you're even thinking about it, you probably don't recognize enough what the advantages are. You don't have clear enough use for the advantages that the Mavic 3 gives you. So don't bother spending like literally double, triple the amount of money to get that drone just because DJI is like pushing it and you want it to have the latest and greatest thing. Get the Mini 3 Pro. It's the better drone, actually, in a lot of cases. For one, because it's lighter, a lot of regulations don't apply to you, and you can fly in a lot of countries and spaces you wouldn't be able to. And then number two, just because it's smaller, you can bring it with you more often. They say the best camera is the camera you have with you. And it's also true with drones. The best drone is the drone you have with you. And with the Mavic 3, it's just a bit more of a hassle to lug around. You know, with this one, you can put it in a purse, a backpack. Literally, you can put this drone in your pocket. Like, I went running one time, and I didn't put it in my pocket when I was running, but I had a crossbody bag, and it was just like, all right, I'll put my drone in it, the controller, go out for a run at sunrise, and oh, look, it's great sunrise. Cool, I'll fly my drone. So yeah, you'll be able to just get way better shots because you have the drone with you more often. So that's something a lot of people overlook with this drone. And really, yeah, just get this drone if you're on the fence between those two, Mavic 3 and this, and you'll love this. So now there are some cons about this drone. It's not all like, yay, it's the greatest drone ever. There are a few features that really miss the mark for me. Number one, 48 megapixel mode is such a big gimmick. Not because it's not actually 48 megapixels. I know a lot of people think that and they're like, it's just making up information. It's not really, it's just inflating it. And no, it is actually 48 megapixels, and there are actually enough subpixels on there for it to be 48 megapixels. Basically, the OmniVision sensor uses like quad Bayer technology to take that original pixel and split it into 4 subpixels. So it can actually go from 12 to 48, because that 4 times 12 is 48. But what you lose when you do the 48 megapixel mode is a lot of dynamic range. I did a comparison video on this, and you can clearly see that. And number two, you get a lot of noise in the image because the subpixels are way smaller. They're more likely to overheat, and thus you get noise. And then number three, when you go to take a photo, which is something you don't know, like, yeah, you can see all the comparisons online, but with the 48 megapixel mode, it takes about 6 to 7 seconds to process the photo after you press the shutter button, which might not sound that bad, but when you're flying a drone and you're like, oh great, we have that 1 minute of sunset or sunrise, that light is absolutely perfect, you now can only take like, I don't know, like 10 photos, 9 photos in that time, where before you could just go and constant photos, and even do like the timed photos every 2 seconds with the 12 megapixel mode. So yeah, 48 megapixel mode, really not great. They don't look good. 12 megapixel mode is where it's at. It's where all the photos that I've taken that have turned out the best have been taken with. So yeah, absolute gimmick there. Number two, the other gimmick by DJI is the obstacle avoidance. Like this, sure, it actually works if you're trying to fly into a wall, and the drone will go, I don't think I'm gonna fly into that wall. And you'll be like, wow, look how cool it is, it works. No, then go try flying around and fly through the trees and stuff like that, and power lines, and this drone will have no idea that that stuff is there, and will just happily plow into any of those at full speed, and you'll watch in horror as your $1,000 drone or whatever falls out of the air. So don't trust the obstacle avoidance whatsoever. It's a cautionary tale that like so many people have learned. I personally myself have always known it, so I've never trusted it. But many first-time drone users pick up this drone and they see the videos from DJI and they're like, wow, it'll like zoom through stuff and follow me. And then they try it and it doesn't do that, and it just crashes into stuff as it follows them. So yeah, the obstacle avoidance not good. Granted, it's amazing how they put the sensors on there, but if you've been on the fence between the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro, because that's really the main difference other than some like slight software features that they tamped down just to like make this drone look a little more fancy than the Mini 3, I would just get the Mini 3 then, because like I said, the obstacle avoidance isn't really a big feature, doesn't really work, so Mini 3 will do you just fine. And then there are two other things that kind of are annoying with this drone, more of like mistakes or design flaws. Number one is this drone uses propeller screws on the propellers to hold them in place, unlike the other drones, which you kind of push down and they turn in place with like a spring-loaded design. And I understand they have to do that to save weight, but they used absolutely the worst screws possible that are so soft that so many people have posted online saying they've stripped out their screws. I haven't had that issue because I've been scared to even take the propellers off. In fact, I haven't changed my propellers once. Well, I crashed my drone and had to send it into DJI, so I guess that was changing the propellers. But yeah, I'm really fearful for when I will have to change these sometime in the future. And you just want to be really careful, get a better screwdriver than DJI includes, and like really be like thoughtful with taking these screws out. And then the other thing that has been an issue with this drone is the lens fogging. I think DJI has fixed it. I haven't experienced it now with this new drone. But basically what happened is DJI didn't seal the camera properly, so like moisture could get in behind the camera, which is fine, it wouldn't cause any issues, but then you go and fly the drone and the camera would heat up and the air inside the camera would heat up, and now the air inside the camera would be warmer than the air outside, so the moisture would condense on the inside of the lens, which was terrible because it would just like destroy your image quality. As you can see here, this was shots I had that would have been maybe nice, but can't be used ever because the lens was fogged up, and there was nothing you could do about it because it was on the inside of the lens, so you basically just had to go set this drone in some area that was less moist and hope it would dry out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my review of this drone. Now comparing it to other drones and like what it means for this drone going forward, the Mini 3 Pro, like what's the future of it. First off, I do have a spreadsheet I'll link to down below that I personally use and have put together for my own reference because I'm doing videos like this and I just constantly need to like check out like, all right, well, how does that spec compare to this drone? And so yeah, it's basically a simple spreadsheet, but it has all the specs of every DJI drone on the market, and you can just go right across and like compare, all right, here's how, okay, video quality, okay, sensor size, and like, yeah, you can really get into it and decide which drone has the right features and specs for you. So that's free down there below. Just, you know, I ask you to help support me in any way possible if you want to use it and find it helpful. But this drone going forwards, I think is still going to be a very capable drone. Even after the Mini 4 is released, or Mini 4 Pro sometime in like 2024, way down the road, this drone will still be a viable option. It'll probably get a price cut, but essentially 4K video, that's all we need. We don't really need higher resolution. The image quality, like I said, is very good for the size, not, you know, gonna be Mavic 3 level, but it's good enough that you can post it on social media and on YouTube and vlogs and cut it in and stuff. And even in some professional work, if you shoot in the right lighting, it'll be fine. You also have the battery life, the range, everything really works well going forward. And if you're in the US and stuff, it has remote ID compatibility, so you don't have to like sideline it because it's not fitting into the regulations. So overall, gonna be very capable going forwards. I kind of put this drone in like DJI's lineup where you have over here like the Mavic 3, and then right above it you have the Air 2S, and then you have the Mini 3, Mini 2, Mini 2 SE, and like goes down like that. So if you're trying to decide between this and the Air 2S, you know, Air 2S obviously is an older platform, but still very good. I would say Air 2S is better for photography because you have that 1-inch sensor, and also for some professional video settings because you get D-Log, HLG mode, and 5.4K video. So yeah, Air 2S is still very capable, even though it's 2 years old and about to be, you know, surpassed by the Air 3 when it comes out in the next 6 months. There is a few reasons why I'd get the Mini 3 Pro, most notably like if you need vertical video, like I mentioned, that's really great. You can use the whole sensor of the camera and the whole field of view. And then if you need that extra battery life, it's another reason to get the Mini 3. Also the smaller size, you can get under some regulations. Now the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro, like I mentioned earlier, that's a very close one. Again, the Mini 3 doesn't have the obstacle avoidance, but you don't really need it. The video specs are like, it's really annoying because it's literally the same exact hardware on both of them. DJI is just using the software to make the Mini 3 less capable than the Mini 3 Pro. I get they have to do that, but yeah, basically if you're really on a tight budget, get the Mini 3, it will do you fine. If you're not a photographer, videographer coming in, you won't really notice the difference. But if you are a photographer, videographer, and are looking to expand your capabilities and want a small drone you can bring with you on the go, I'd probably get the Mini 3 Pro because you'll appreciate like the slight improvement in image quality you get and stuff like that. But yeah, that's really it for this video. Hopefully, if you're still watching, you've enjoyed it, found it informational, while also being somewhat entertaining. It's kind of a lot of information. I tried to pack it all in as short of a time as possible. So hopefully it wasn't too long and you're not like waking up now from sleep. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Click like, subscribe, comment, I don't know, support this video in any way possible. Affiliate links down below if you want to help support me as well. Social media are down there too. You guys know what to do. You're professional YouTube watchers. But again, thank you very much for watching. Fly safe, and as always, peace out. Have a nice day. Bye.